30 seconds and counting. 25 seconds and counting. We are still go. 20 seconds. Guidance alert. The guidance system now going internal. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To viewers in Africa and Europe, good morning to viewers in the Western Hemisphere. Good, very, very early morning to my viewers in the Pacific Rim, and welcome to the Astronaut live stream coverage of a very big event, at least as far as JAXA and Japanese spaceflight is concerned, because the HTV-X, after a flawless launch and a flawless orbital ascent to the ISS, is preparing to dock. Boy, we got choppy audio again. Yeah, this is something that just keeps happening, guys. Hopefully, it will start stabilizing at some point. Once again, guys, I apologize for that. And we'll continue to monkey around with this until we can eventually get it resolved. In the meantime, where's everybody checking in? And keep in mind, a lot of this coverage is going to be provided by NASA. So you won't have to listen to me quite as much. It's going to be kind of like the last broadcast. Hopefully we're getting there. Like I say, just getting it, little improvements here and there, and we'll continue working and hopefully get resolution. As I say, it's just been a nightmare trying to monkey around it with this stuff. Okay, Texas checking in. And Ireland. Hello, Nova Scotia and Wisconsin. Hello, Scotland and Australia. Hello, Four Marks. John Morgan, thanks for checking in today. Hello, Portland, Dorset, Dorset, UK. West of Antarctica. My God, really? Oof. Okay. Let's see who else is checking. We have Texas as well. The berthing is several hours from now. This is going to be a marathon live stream coverage because these docking procedures take a lot of time as the spacecraft slowly ascends from its current orbit to rendezvous with the International Space Station. Oh, you're in Holland. Was born in Canada, though. Hello, Enfield, Long Island, New York, and Cyprus, and Queensland, New York, New York. Hello, Farouk. Good to always see you here. Hello, Denmark and Pennsylvania. Hello, Wales, Tampa Bay. Okay, cool. And Iraq. Boy, Iraq, interesting. We have Illinois. Thanks for checking in today. And of course, ASN. Everybody say hello and thank you to ASN for running these broadcasts. John Morgan, thank you so much for the tenor, my friend. This is the kind of support that is so helpful to these kinds of broadcasts because this is sort of a niche topic. The majority of my viewers are not interested in Japanese space flight, unfortunately. But so the little bit of extra support that I can get for these broadcasts makes an enormous difference. Thank you so much. Hello, the Transporter Room. Guys, please don't forget the Transporter Room does Star Trek coverage, interviews stars from the show, and amongst other people who are involved in Star Trek. If you like Star Trek, make sure to check out the amazing content on the Transporter Room, who, by the way, was also a sponsor of this channel for a couple of videos. Hello, Edna, Kansas, and Winchester, UK. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So British, I suppose it is. Believe me, anybody who's broke or anybody, if it isn't really financially convenient for you to support my channel, I don't want you to. Please, please, please don't. Don't unless it's an easy thing to do because, as I say, you need your money to pay your bills. It's not your responsibility to take care of mine. Just for those who are able to, I'm super grateful. But for those who are in a tight spot, I really don't want you. The best way to support me is to watch and to hit that like and to hit that subscribe. If you do that, which costs you nothing, that's a huge amount of help to my channel, and thank you very much. Does everyone get the ads at the same time? Honestly, I have no idea. I've been had YouTube Elite or whatever they call it membership to where I don't have to watch ads for so many years. I haven't seen an ad on YouTube in God knows how long. And just so you know, if you do pay a monthly subscription on YouTube, actually I get more money from you watching than I do for people who watch ads because YouTube knows that they're making money off of the viewers who are paying subscribers. So they actually give YouTube creators more money for people who are who pay monthly. Like I say, if you're in a tight spot, obviously, don't pay that. But if you have, I think it's $10. I even forget how much it is. It's such a small amount. I don't even I like, haven't noticed it coming out of my account for a while, but it's worth it because it gets rid of all those damn ads. And not only that, you're giving your money directly to the creator that way, or at least a portion of that money goes directly to the creator. And the ads, it's a little bit more confusing, a little bit more complicated as to how you're compensating the creator. So anyway, just something to consider. Yeah, that's it. Premium. It's called YouTube Premium. It's very cheap. Like you forget how much it is. It's not much, and you get no ads at all. So once again, I'm sorry about the sound. This new laptop that I had to buy in Australia has really, really just bare bones capability, because my other laptop broke when I was in Australia, one of the many things that went wrong. So really what I need to do is upgrade my laptop capability. I think that might make a difference because for those of you who are familiar with Ellie in Space, great channel, by the way. If you're not a subscriber to Ellie in Space, please, subscribe to Ellie in Space, but in any event, she interviewed me last night. We did a video last night on a live stream, and it was a huge pain in the butt. I had a lot of hangups and freezes and such, and again, the reason is because of this damn cheap laptop. So, I just need to upgrade my capability, and I think that will change a lot of it. So in any event, I blame 3i Atlas. There you go. Yeah, it's the aliens on 3i Atlas that are messing with my broadcast. All right. So in any event, in 6 minutes or so, NASA should be coming online. Again, 10 minutes, I'm sorry. In 10 minutes, NASA is due to come online in 10 minutes to provide us with coverage along with JAXA on this rendezvous. Again, interestingly enough, in spite of the shutdown, in spite of the fact that JPL won't give us those photos that we know they have of 3i Atlas that were taken by the various spacecraft orbiting Mars as 3i Atlas made a close approach to the red planet. Even though they definitely have those photos, they aren't releasing them because of the government shutdown. But at the same time, they're able to do broadcasts like this in spite of the government shutdown. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. How difficult would it be to just release the damn photos? I mean, what else do you have to do, JPL? You're not working. Just take a stroll into the office and upload the photos. But they won't do that. So hopefully the government shutdown will come to an end. What I find to be very strange, though, is China has an orbiting spacecraft, a spacecraft orbiting Mars, which also pointed its cameras at 3i Atlas weeks ago. weeks ago, and they haven't released their photos. Why? Why? Again, I'm not a big believer in conspiracy theories. I'm just not. But that is just bizarre. Why is neither NASA nor the Chinese National Space Agency releasing this information? It's just frustrating. Yeah, and exactly, that's so that Farouk just brought that up as well. You were reading my mind, Farouk. So, yeah, again, there's been nothing. Oh, and also, interestingly enough, the United Arab Emirates, they have the Hope Mars orbiter, which also pointed its cameras at 3I Atlas weeks ago during this close approach, and they haven't released their photos either. Now, keep in mind, though, Hope was never really designed to photograph something like 3I Atlas. I doubt they have very good images at all. But still, why haven't they released them? I am it's very suspicious. I'm really wondering why this hasn't happened yet. Very, very strange. So in any event, all that being the case, and actually, I have contacts in Dubai who work for the space center there. I think I'm going to ask them for a comment. We'll see whether or not they might be willing to make a comment on that. ESA 488 pictures, 3I Atlas is locked in Planetary Science Archive, huh? Hmm. Okay. Again, I find this to be very, very strange. I guess maybe one potential explanation would be that NASA has the best photos and they're waiting for NASA to release their spin on what these photos are actually showing us before anybody else makes any comments on it. Maybe, I guess. And NASA, of course, can't really put a spin on it at all, not officially, because with the government shutdown, they're not allowed to. Um, so I don't know. It's just really, really strange. Uh, what am I so there's right, there's no publicly available 3I Atlas photos at the European Space Agency. Again, that is so bizarre. Why is that the case? It's just I don't know. I'm not coming to any conclusions here. But again, if I am eliminating conspiracies, if I want to take conspiracies out of the equation, I would think that maybe the best explanation would be NASA has the best photos. And so the rest of these space agencies are waiting to see what NASA is going to say about it before they come to any conclusions about what their photos say. But again, I don't know. Very weird. Transporter Room, thank you so much. Yeah, shout out to Digital Voodoo, who also has a YouTube channel, by the way. Both the Transporter Room and Digital Voodoo are trying to get enough view time to get monetized, guys. Go to their YouTube channels and just give their stuff a watch. If we just a small percentage of my subscribers were to do that, we would get them to the point to where they can be monetized and start making a little bit of money with all the work that they do. Chris, hello, Chris. It's been a while since we've talked. Really appreciate it. Chris doesn't live too far away from me, actually, in the UK. Thanks so much for the tenor. Really, really appreciate your support. And no, Gunter, it's not you. There are some lagging issues. There are some problems with this broadcast. And again, I think it's hardware related. I think I got a dirt cheap laptop when my other laptop broke in Australia. So I just need to do an upgrade. Again, I showed an Imager 3I Atlas. The sun looked elongated. Yes, that is a correct. That is on the broadcast. That one was put out by WIAN, an Indian news agency. I cannot. Um, I cannot attest to the accuracy of that image. Wien is again, is a news agency that, gets a little, um, sensationalistic from time to time, shall we say. I like watching them. I think that they provide some good news coverage, and they're not afraid to say some controversial things, but nevertheless, I don't know, hard to say for sure. All right, so we have about 3.5 minutes before NASA will start providing their coverage. Keep in mind, this is gonna be a marathon coverage. It's gonna be hours or HTV-X position to actually dock. It is a slow process where any vehicle that docks with the International Space Station slowly ascends from a lower intercept orbit into close proximity with the space station. It's a very slow, gradual process because NASA is being super, super careful with their space station. They're have to be really cautious, obviously, about the safety of the ISS. And then once the vehicle gets pretty close, then the process gets even slower. And in the case of HTV-X, unlike SpaceX vehicles, HTV does not automatically dock with any of the docking ports on the station. Instead, the Canadarm grabs and moves it to a docking port physically with the aid of an astronaut. I'm actually a pretty big fan of that approach. I would rather have a docking under complete control of a human rather than a computer. But then again, SpaceX's automated process has proven to be extremely successful and reliable. The Psyche spacecraft cameras are capable to image 3I Atlas. I don't know if we'll get very good images. What is more likely is that Psyche is going to pass through 3I Atlas's tail, maybe some of the ionized material in the tail, and we might get some composition information that we didn't have before. That is the objective anyway. Is NASA going to show any? Oh, yes, absolutely. We're going to see we should anyway, if this is like a typical NASA broadcast, we are going to see the entire process of the docking when HTV-X is a tiny little dot, in a much lower orbit, against the Earth as it slowly ascends towards us, gets larger and larger from our perspective until eventually the Canadarm is able to grab. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Let's hope, that this goes smoothly, but I have a lot of confidence here. So far, everything's been working really, really well on this spacecraft, and it utilizes, maneuvering thrusters, exclusively. It doesn't have big engines, unlike the Dragon. It does not have large engines to maneuver with and to rendezvous with. It's a very slow process, smaller thrusters, which is one of the reasons why it took more time for it to eventually ascend up to this point. So, yeah, it's again, this is going to be a marathon broadcast. I'll be taking breaks here and there through the process. But ultimately, if all goes well, HTV-X will rendezvous with the ISS. We'll see the Canadarm grab a hold of it and maneuver the vehicle to a docking port. So fingers crossed. Let's see if this works out. So right now, we have obviously a hold screen from Johnson Space Center. But once NASA starts broadcasting, they'll bring you up, maybe up. Are we live now, producer? Okay, so they have some music going right now, copyrighted music. We'll go ahead and bring NASA online. Okay, so yeah, as you can
With
see,
Kimi
capture
Yui
is
of the Japan Aerospace Exploration
almost 3
Agency
hours away.
will
As I
be
say,
in
this is
the
gonna be a
cupola
marathon.
at a robotics workstation. Yui will be primed for extending the Canadarm2 robotic arm once the HTV-X1 arrives about 30 feet away from the station. Yui will reach out and grapple a grapple fixture on the HTV-X1 to complete its 3.5-day journey since its launch from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan.
Station for HTV-X. So far, we only have visual on the green light.
The journey of HTV-X1 began on Saturday night, U.S. time, Sunday morning, Japan time, with an on-time liftoff from the Yoshinobu Launch Complex at the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan. Atop an H-3 rocket, the HTV-X1 lifted off and some 14 minutes later separated from the second stage of the H-3 rocket to begin a pre-programmed arrival for a rendezvous at the International Space Station, which is in its terminal phase as we speak. The H-3 rocket performed perfectly both stages, delivering the HTV-X1 cargo ship on time and its preliminary orbit, after which a series of rendezvous maneuvers increased the altitude of the HTV-X1 incrementally to match that of the International Space Station for the final phase of the rendezvous, which is well underway. Just a couple of minutes ago, the HTV-X1 arrived along what is called the R-bar, the radial vector, directly underneath the International Space Station, currently at a distance of about 640 meters away, approaching at a rate of about 1 meter per second.
Copy, navigating via LiDAR and R-bar approach.
All right,
and
so
from
now we can
external
see it.
cameras on the International Space Station, our first view of the HTV-X1 along the R-bar. That is basically an imaginary line that's drawn between the station and the Earth. There'll be several hold points for the HTV-X1 as it completes what are called near-field on-orbit systems demonstrations.
Great news. As soon as the sun set, the red and white lights became very visible. We have good visual on all 3 navigation lights.
Copy all. Thank you for that report.
You'll be hearing the voices of Zena Cardman and Kimi Yui, again, operating from a robotics workstation in the cupola of the International Space Station. On console at this hour is the lead flight director for HTV-X1, Fiona Ankoviak. Sitting to her left at the bottom of your screen is Flight Director Elias Mirmo. The spacecraft communicator at the top of your screen is Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Aki Hoshide, who himself used the station's robotic arm to capture HTV-3, one of the legacy cargo ships that delivered 9 different cargo runs to the station between 2009 and 2020. Hoshide captured HTV-3 using the Canadarm2 robotic arm on August 27, 2012, as a member of Expedition 32. The International Space Station is currently traveling from southwest to northeast, just off the west coast of Australia, in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. Now that the HTV-X has arrived directly below the station, there'll be several hold points for various periods of time where these demonstration activities will take place. The HTV-X1 will stop at a distance of 250 meters, then 30 meters, and then at a capture point just about 10 meters away from the station, at which point Yui will extend the Canadarm2 robotic arm to grapple onto HTV-X1. Once that occurs, the robotic chores will be handed off to the robotics officer here in Mission Control in Houston, who will slowly but surely maneuver HTV-X1 directly underneath the nadir or Earth-facing common berthing mechanism on the Harmony module of the International Space Station. carefully moving the HTV-X1 to its installation point on that common berthing mechanism for it to be bolted into place, basically hard-mated, for its 3-month stay on board the International
BJ Turon,
Outpost.
thank you so much for your support.
So far, the LiDAR sensors on the HTV-X1 have performed normally and up to speed. The other near-field on-orbit demonstrations that lie ahead will be a hold performance demonstration at the 250-meter hold point, basically to monitor the HTV-X's stability close into the International Space Station and to confirm that it's within the position and velocity limits set during the approach by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. There will also be a retreat, or basically an abort performance demonstration, where the crew itself, Yui and Cardman, will send retreat commands to HTV-X to enable it to back away slightly to ensure that it could have that capability should a systems problem occur close into the station. Once that demonstration has been completed, HTV-X will resume its approach inside the keep-out sphere and move to its final capture point some 10 meters away from the International Space Station. HTV-X1 is carrying about 4.4 tons of supplies and experiments for the Expedition 73 crew aboard the International Space Station. The plan calls for the HTV-X1 to arrive at the station for a capture some 2.5 hours from now. The actual capture time is not it's not written in stone. We could arrive earlier for an earlier capture, but nonetheless, the crew on board the station will not open the hatch and begin to unload the cargo on HTV-X1 until tomorrow.
To answer your question, I don't know. How is NASA doing this broadcast, and yet they can't give us some photos of 3i Atlas? I agree.
You can see some
JPL
of
is
the
really
on the
letting us
outside of
down
the
here.
HTV-X1.
It's very frustrating.
The HTV-X1, about 400
really
meters
cool.
now away from the International Space Station, will arrive at a distance for its first hold point of 250 meters just a few minutes from now. This will be about a 30-minute hold point. The first of these hold points at 250 meters will be designed to conduct the LiDAR sensor tests and a hold demonstration capability, which will be assessed by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency engineers who are in the HTV flight control room in Tsukuba, Japan, as well as the flight control team here in Houston.
See, HTV-X still quite some distance away, about 3/4 of a kilometer, I believe, currently. And as you heard the narration,
HTV-X1
there's going to be a
bolted
number
into place
of
on the
holds
Earth-facing side of the
undertaken
Harmony
as the
module of the
vehicle
International Space Station
measures
that will leave just one
between
open
it
port
and
on the station.
the ISS to
That
make sure
final
that the
port,
LiDAR information is
the
correct, make sure that this thing
Rossviet
isn't going to
module
crash into the
on the
station. I mean,
Earth-facing
that
side of the Russian
is
segment of
the
the station
big
will be
point here, is
occupied
to make
on
sure the
Thanksgiving
ISS
Day
is going to be
when the
safe.
Soyuz MS-28
And then it's going to
spacecraft
do some
arrives
back-offs
with the
as
next
well.
trio of residents for the station. That will include NASA's Chris Williams. At that point on Thanksgiving Day, every single port that is used for either an automated docking or an installation on a common berthing mechanism will be occupied on the International Space Station. And the arrival of HTV-X1 coming just
Did
days
anybody see
before
that?
a significant anniversary. On Sunday, the station will mark the 25th anniversary of a permanent human occupancy that began with the arrival of Expedition 1, Bill
What
Shepard,
the
Yuri
hell?
Gitsenko, and Sergei Krikalev on November 2nd, 2000. HTV-X1 has slowed its approach as planned, coming up the R-bar. Again, the R-bar is the radial vector. If you basically draw a cross-haired target,
I am assuming that we're seeing some weather-related effects, a storm of some
the
kind.
imaginary line drawn between the station and the Earth. The HTV-X1 is inchworming its way up the radial vector, currently 300 meters away from the station, closing at a rate of 0.3 of a meter per second. We're about 25 minutes away from coming into an orbital sunrise, which should provide our first good views of the HTV-X1. And for the first time, looking at a vehicle from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency that has deployed solar arrays. The legacy HTV cargo craft had body-mounted solar cells for its electrical production. The twin solar paddles, as JAXA calls them, were deployed a few minutes after the HTV-X1 arrived on its preliminary orbit on Saturday evening. The systems on the HTV-X1 have performed well during all of its demonstration capability, arriving on course and on time for its expected capture some 2.5 hours from now.
Now, those are probably docking lights on the HTV-X. What we're saying that's the traffic light in space. The Cargo Dragon has similar lights.
The HTV-X1 is using its navigational data from LiDAR sensors, which are doing well in processing data regarding the range to the station and its rate of closure.
Yeah, I can't zoom in, unfortunately. We're in NASA's in NASA's hands here.
The LiDAR sensor demonstration test that is currently underway basically compares two separate LiDAR units that are used for navigational updates to the computers on board the HTV-X1, cross-comparing all of that data to ensure that the approach of the HTV is well within expected error limits. We're about 13 minutes away from arriving at the first hold point on the critical phase of this final rendezvous. That would be the 250-meter mark.
Hi. Come on in.
Once HTV-X arrives at 250 meters, the crew on board and flight controllers, both here in Houston and in the HTV control room in Tsukuba, Japan, will be monitoring the hold performance, basically the ability of HTV-X to maintain a stable orientation without any rate of closure, and to confirm that that's within position and velocity limits. And this view
should be visible at the beginning of November.
The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency is of the HTV flight control room in Tsukuba, Japan. This is
3i
a separate
Atlas,
room
that is.
from the ISS flight control room for JAXA that is operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in support of expedition operations. These flight controllers are specific to HTV operations. They are on their consoles, monitoring all of the data that's coming in from HTV-X1 and communicating directly on the loops with the flight control team here in Houston.
So it's November 11th, actually, when 3i Atlas will be visible to backyard astronomers.
We should be arriving at this 250-meter hold point just a few minutes from now to allow the LiDAR and hold demonstrations to begin. A poll will be taken for a go, no-go to continue on and depart the 250-meter mark, as well as the approach and retreat demonstrations that will take place a bit later in HTV-X's climb up the R-bar towards its grapple point, which will be some 2 hours and 20 minutes or so from now. This is the view that Kimiya Yui of JAXA and NASA's Zena Cardman are currently seeing from their robotic workstation in the cupola, with all of the overlaid data that shows the corridor, if you will, that the HTV-X1 is climbing up the radial vector to approach the station for the final phase of its 3.5-day journey for grapple and installation to the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module of the International Outpost. The International Space Station is currently flying 260 miles above the Earth in tandem with the HTV-X1, moving from southwest
Okay, what we're
to
looking at, for
northeast
those
in
of
an
you who
orbit
are joining us a bit late, oh, they're
51.6
zooming
degrees
in a
to either
little bit
side of the
on it, is
equator.
the HTV-X spacecraft, a resupply spacecraft from JAXA, the Japanese space agency. You're looking at the red and green lights, which are docking lights to aid to lock onto it, that is, for visibility. And it's currently sitting at a distance of 250 meters from the International Space Station below it. And it will slowly make its way towards the station over the course of about another hour and a half or longer, probably a little over 2 hours, before it will be grappled by the Canadarm and moved to a docking port on the International Space Station, assuming all goes well. So what we're seeing is the HTV-X against the night side of the Earth. And as the station continues to orbit, and HTV-X does as well, we're going to be seeing the daytime, obviously, in the Earth in the daytime, along with the spacecraft as well. Come in.
And flight controllers now confirm that we have
In a
reached the
hotel, to be clear.
250-meter mark between HTV-X.
HTV-X confirmed 250-meter hold for step 2 in 1.102. And be advised, if you're looking at the rendezvous details page, if you look at the secondary range, that is under LiDAR 2. You can disregard that.
We can disregard the range under LiDAR 2 on the rendezvous details page, which we are looking at, but we see on our monitors our prior range is 240. We've got our good 250-meter hold. We have good lights on the HTV-X command panel, and prior range currently 240.27.
Houston copies all. Thank you.
Stand by for our first Block Bravo calls.
Stand by.
NASA's Zena Cardman reporting back to Aki Hoshide, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut, the veteran astronaut who is serving as spacecraft communicator today here in Mission Control in Houston. So HTV-X1 has reached its first hold point at 250 meters. This will be about a 30-minute period to enable a demonstration of the HTV-X's stability and its velocity limits before permission is given for it to resume approach to the next hold point, which will be at 30 meters.
Okay, for those of you who are wondering what the flashes are and that sort of thing, I just pulled up some live, or first of all, the live location of the International Space Station. It's currently in the North Pacific, just off the coast of Japan, or in that vicinity. And there is a storm there as well. I pulled up a weather map of the same region. So what we're probably seeing is lightning beneath the ISS, beneath the HTV-X, as the station and the spacecraft passes over this
We're
region
at a
of the
brief
planet, which
loss of
is
signal
cloaked
from
in darkness,
the
by the
International
way.
Space Station
It's
for our
in the middle
downlink
of the
TV
night,
capability from
this
external
region of the
cameras. We'll
North
be
Pacific.
getting that back shortly
And so
as we
that's what
pass
we're
within
seeing
range of the
is
next set
weather
of tracking and data relay satellites.
in that region of the
Houston
world.
Station for Block Bravo.
Go for Bravo.
Looking at monitor 3, this is the P1 lower outboard camera. The light is within the corridor. It's difficult in the nighttime lighting to tell whether the vehicle size matches the vehicle outline, but we believe it matches, or approximately matches. The light is offset 1/2 length forward and centered, port starboard. The circle itself is 1 vehicle width starboard and 1/2 vehicle length aft from the center of the corridor. Monitor 1, starboard lower outboard, matches monitor 3.
Copy all. Good report.
This is Mission Control Houston. If you're just joining us, you're looking at strobe lights on the outside of the HTV-X1, the brand new cargo craft from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. The HTV-X is the heir to the legacy HTV cargo vehicle that made 9 delivery runs to the station between 2009 and 2020. This new vehicle is 26 feet long, 14.5 feet wide, and is carrying some 4.4 tons of supplies and experiments for the expedition crew on the International Space Station. HTV-X1 is holding steady at the first of its 3 hold points at 250 meters from the station.
So both the ISS and the HTV-X are the trajectory, the orbital trajectory of both are going to be over the night side of the planet for probably another 15 minutes or so.
To 30 meters.
And then we'll get a better look of the vehicle here shortly.
Retreat demonstration to take place to test the HTV-X's ability to move away from the station through a crew command by Kimiya Yui and Zena Cardman from the workstation and the cupola of the complex, should that become necessary in the unlikely event of a systems issue.
For the suppress warning that it was expected, disregard.
Be disregarding.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
And once again, this is the
original
that Yui and
original
Cardman
loan.
are
I guess
seeing
I'm not sure. I'm sorry, but thank you so much for the 20 euros. Man, what a huge amount of help for the channel. Thank you so much.
HTV-X1 as it will be moving shortly from its hold position at 250 meters up the corridor to an eventual grapple point just 10 meters or about 32 feet away from the station. Kimiya Yui will be at the controls of the Canadarm2 robotic arm to reach out and grapple HTV-X1.
It's also important to keep in mind that both of these, both the ISS and HTV-X, are traveling tens of thousands of kilometers per hour as they are orbiting the Earth. We're talking rendezvous at incredible speeds. To be precise, 7.66 kilometers per second.
Here in the flight control room in Houston at Mission Control, Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak.
So clearly you don't want any mistakes made during the docking.
We'll be taking a poll, a go-no-go poll, to resume approach from 250 meters a short time from now.
Any collisions
and for the flight control
could
team
be real
to
nasty.
take a look at all of their data to ensure that they're happy before that poll is taken just a few minutes from now.
Okay, the ISS is approaching the northwest coast of Canada, around Vancouver, and will be passing into the daylight area of the planet here in just a few minutes. And once it arrives there, we're going to get a much better look not only at the Earth, but also at the HTV-X. Currently, we are just seeing the docking lights, but we're going to see a much better view of this thing shortly. Again, right now, the ISS is just over the Aleutian Islands. Um, Again, and it's still the dead of night over most of the Pacific Ocean, and it's approaching the northwest coast of the North American continent. Thank you so much for the fiver. Really appreciate that. I'm still Sigma. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up, guys. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe.
This is Mission Control in Houston. Just to recap, the HTV-X1 is rock solid stable at holding position some 250 meters away from the space station. The flight control teams, both here and in Tsukuba, Japan, are evaluating LiDAR sensor data to ensure that they're happy with all of that before the approval is given a short time from now for HTV-X to resume its approach up the radial vector. Again, that's the imaginary line drawn between the station and the center of the Earth. There will be 2 additional hold points, one at 30 meters, and again, one at the capture point about 10 meters away before Kimiya Yui at the controls of the Canadarm2 robotic arm extends the arm and grapples onto a grapple fixture on HTV-X to complete its 3.5-day journey. The robotic chores then will be handed off to the robotics officer here in Mission Control, who will maneuver HTV-X to the Earth-facing common berthing mechanism on the nadir side of the Harmony module for its installation and its bolting into place to form a hard mate.
So once again, ISS and HTV-X now over the northern Pacific, approaching the northwestern coast of the North American continent. Probably going to be another 10 minutes or so before it passes over the demarcation between night and day. And then at that point, we should get a much better view of the spacecraft and of the Earth as it approaches. Yes, it's over 4 tons worth of cargo. That is something that HTV-X, in spite of the fact that it's
are good, and that we have an airtight seal between HTV-X and the International Space Station. The actual hatch opening and the ingress by the crew to begin unloading HTV-X's
a difference as
cargo
far as the HTV-X is
scheduled
concerned
until
is the
tomorrow.
enormous amount of cargo space it has. It has 39.6
The
cubic
International
meters
Space
worth of
Station is in the
pressurized
capture
cargo
or grapple
for a total of
orientation.
78
According
cubic
to the flight
meters.
control team here in
By way of
Houston,
comparison, the Crew
station is
Dragon,
currently
or not the
flying
Crew
just south
Dragon,
of
the
Alaska,
Dragon, Cargo
about to begin
Dragon,
a northwest
only
to
has
southeasterly
9.3 cubic
trajectory
meters of
in an
pressurized
orbit inclined
cargo,
51.6
37
degrees to either side of the equator.
HTV-X is very big, a lot of cargo space, which at least partially makes up for the fact that it's expendable. It can carry much bigger pieces of cargo and a lot more cargo in a single go, especially pressurized cargo, than Cargo Dragon. And just about any other cargo craft, by the way, it has bigger cargo capacity than the Russian Progress spacecraft and bigger even than the Cygnus.
We should be coming into an orbital sunrise just a short time from now. That'll give us our first good view of HTV-X1 with its deployed solar paddles or arrays, as the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency refers to them as.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV-X. Just for your awareness, if you're looking at the monitors, you may see the corridor overlay disappear. The range was at 240, and then now it's at 260. So it's further out. So that's why it just disappeared. No concerns. Once we resume approach, it will come back.
We copy all. We just talked about that, and glad it matches what we thought we saw. Thanks.
Awesome. VVO was reading your mind.
NASA's Zena Cardman in the cupola talking to Aki Hoshide of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, the veteran astronaut who is the spacecraft communicator today, discussing the cross-comparison of LiDAR sensor data as they prepare for the final phase of the HTV-X's approach for its grapple.
May start getting a better view of HTV-X before we actually there you go. Glorious, beautiful. Oh my God, look at that. So beautiful. Oh my God. That was just stunning. What a beautiful spacecraft. And again, we're getting that view because of course, with the HTV-X being further up altitude-wise than the surface of the Earth, it's catching the sunlight earlier than the Earth's surface is. So the sun is now illuminating the spacecraft and the solar panels. What a beautiful ship. I have never seen anything like that in terms of just how it suddenly just appeared like that as the sun. I mean,
And there's our
it's
view
just a
for the
little bit
first
more
time of
spectacular
the
than when we see
HTV-X1.
the Dragon appear. Wow, just because the solar panels are larger, they're more prominent. And then the gold foil. Wow.
You can clearly see the thruster firings as the HTV-X1 holds position at the 250-meter mark. This is the brand new cargo ship from the Japan Aerospace
Yes, that is a very
Exploration
good point.
Agency, launched
Who
from the
point out
Tanegashima Space Center on Saturday night U.S. time, Sunday morning Japan
right.
time.
Those are not lights. Those are not flashing effects. Those I should have realized that. Those are thrusters, station-keeping thrusters firing on the spacecraft to make sure that it stays on its trajectory and that it stays stationary, holding its position, and those thrusters are maintaining its position. And so that's why you have all four
We're in a
thrusters
handover
firing
between
in
satellites on
sequence
our tracking
in
and
order
data
to
relay satellite
maintain
system. The
stability.
International Space
And
Station is
now
currently
you can
crossing
see the
the
spacecraft is
coast of
beginning to pass
Washington
over
State,
lights, and that's
moving from
because it has
northwest to
now,
southeast.
the ISS has now made its way over the North American continent. It's gone over Washington, making its way. It should pass straight over Colorado, actually. For those of you in that region, if you're in that part of the country, you should be able to see ISS passing directly overhead. Man, that's a good view. So yeah, those again, not lights, they're thrusters firing to maintain the stability, the station keeping of
A
the
good view of HTV-X1.
spacecraft. God, that's a beautiful ship. That's a
The
lot
flight
more
control
impressive
teams are
visually
discussing
than I was
the status
expecting.
of the vehicle's systems in preparation for a go-no-go poll to resume its approach to the next hold point of 30 meters and to continue with an approach and retreat demonstration.
Please hit that thumbs up, guys. Please hit that like. Man, that's just beautiful. Beautiful. And again, this is why we see satellites right after sundown or right before sunrise. It's because the sunlight hits the solar panels of the satellites, whereas we don't see the sun, but the sunlight is still hitting the solar panels of the satellites in orbit, making them a lot more visible. So right after
HTV-X
sundown or
moving
right
in
before sunrise
concert
is
with
the
the
ideal
International
time to
Space
see
Station
satellites,
at a speed
which
of about
again
5
is the whole
miles per
reason that we're
second, but in
seeing
relative
this
distance
spacecraft
to
so
each other,
beautifully illuminated
currently holding at
against
250 meters.
against
The
the
final
night
systems
side
check
of
is
this
being
of the world of the
conducted
North
by
American
the
continent. Although
JAXA
it is now,
engineers at the
it is
HTV
just past the
Control Center
demarcation
in
point, as you
Tsukuba,
can see,
Japan.
and now it is flying over the middle of the U.S., over the Rocky Mountains, I think.
Once HTV-X is berthed to the nadir port, the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module, its parking place will be right next door to the Northrop Grumman Cygnus cargo craft, which is mated to the Earth-facing port of the Unity module.
So it's early morning in the western U.S. Yes, I think it's flying over the Rocky Mountains. That's what it looks like anyway.
HTV-X1 flying over the Rockies, moving towards the southeastern quadrant of the state of Colorado.
Yeah, that's an impressive ship. Flying over my home state of Colorado. If anybody's watching from that region of the country, hello.
The visiting
My
vehicle officer
hometown is
here in Mission
Colorado
Control
Springs.
reports that the next pair of demonstration tests,
Okay, we don't want to see
LiDAR
the control
sensor
room.
demonstration and the hold and retreat demonstration will be conducted here shortly. Again, that data is valuable to ensure that the HTV-X can retreat away from the station on crew command if required in the event of a systems issue that would crop up in the terminal phase of this rendezvous. Each of these demonstrations expected to last about 5 minutes in duration.
Not sure why we're watching the Mission Control Center for such a long period of time.
HTV-X1 and the International
Don't
Space
see the
Station
point
now
of having these
crossing the
guys on
border
candid
between
camera. There we
Oklahoma
go.
and Texas.
Man, that's a beautiful ship. Essentially flying right over the middle of the U.S. This course is going to take it out into the Gulf, and then it's going to be passing quite close to that hurricane. There's a decent chance that we're going to see, because it's, I believe, hitting Cuba right now. And by the way, our thoughts and prayers to all the poor folks in Jamaica that took a direct hit, Category 5 storm. Destruction there. Years we're getting, the first information we're getting is widespread. We're not sure about loss of life yet, but it's been a very, very bad story so far from Jamaica after taking a direct hit from a Category 5 storm. In any event, there's a decent chance that we'll get a look at least part of that storm as this makes it, as the ISS and the HTV-X way out over the
HTV-X1
Gulf.
just about
And
to
then
pass off the coast of Louisiana.
the trajectory will take it through the between
Again, flying from northwest
Cuba
to southeast,
and
an evaluation of LiDAR sensor
Guatemala.
data is underway. This is navigational data that updates the HTV-X's computers regarding its relative range away from the space station and its rate of closure once that resumes a short time from now.
All right, so it looks like we're starting to get the outer bands of that storm as ISS and HTV-X pass over the Gulf. You're starting to see the outer bands of the hurricane. At least I think that's what those are. Because a hurricane will suck all the energy out of surrounding weather systems, leaving essentially the hurricane and nothing else. So yeah, now we're starting to pass over the storm. And again, you're seeing it in bands. These cloud bands, one after another in a spiral. Oh, that's beautiful. And generally, usually suck all the energy out of the any systems in the immediate vicinity. If you're not in the hurricane, usually it's very clear, very blue. And yes, all this is live, guys. This is happening right now. Currently, ISS is just south of Cuba, flying now over the Caribbean. And it will continue to do so until it
This view from
reaches
external cameras on the
Colombia,
International Space Station,
I believe,
showing Hurricane
the
Melissa.
northern coast of
It
Colombia.
is currently packing winds of 105 miles an hour as it moves north-northeast.
Thank you, Anthony. And Melissa
at a speed
has
of 14
dropped off
miles
some
an
strength
hour,
down to a Cat 5, or
departing
3 rather.
southeastern
Oh,
Cuba.
yeah. Yep.
After wreaking havoc and devastation on the western portion of Jamaica yesterday with record winds of 185 miles an hour. Again, a view from an altitude of 260 miles as the space station flies just to the west of Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah, folks, I'm 100% in support of ASN. Leave all political nonsense off of this chat. You can talk about the well-being of people who are being affected by the hurricane. Nobody disagrees with that, but let's keep anything else unrelated to space flight off the chat, please. Fortunately, Hurricane Melissa has lost a lot of its strength since it hit Jamaica. But of course, one of the reasons why it lost a lot of its strength is because it passed directly over the middle of the island. Wreaked a lot of havoc. At least that's the information we're getting right now. Hopefully, not as bad as it looks. About a Category 5 hurricane. That's grim. So again, this is all ISS perspective at the moment, and now we're, oh, look at that.
Holding at 250 meters, about
the Caribbean is so beautiful.
Pending approval by Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak here in
lovely region of the world. Be right back, guys.
Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak here in Mission Control is completing her poll of her flight control team before informing the HTV-X flight director in Tsukuba, Japan. Next up will be the retreat performance demonstration, where the crew will be sending retreat commands from its post in the cupola. This occurring prior to HTV-X entering the keep-out sphere.
Man, that's a great looking ship. I know I keep saying that, but it's just very colorful. And the red and gold and black, it's just really nicely color coordinated. I don't know if that was the intention when they designed it, but it's a very impressive looking ship.
Once again, the HTV-X cargo craft, the brand new cargo craft from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, still holding steady
Currently,
at 250 meters, about to be given approval
ISS is flying
to
middle
conduct a retreat
of South
demonstration.
America, pretty much
Essentially
straight
a
down the
test
center of the continent.
an approach abort capability should that become necessary. One of several hold points and demonstration points, as the HTV-X resides at the moment directly below the International Space Station.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV-X. SIPC and MCC Houston are ready for the HTV-X approach from 250 meters. Expect approach to resume shortly and stand by for the retreat demo.
Copy. Expecting the approach to resume shortly, and we will also expect the retreat demo.
Good copy.
Aki Hoshide, the spacecraft communicator, informing Zena Cardman aboard the station that all.
So once again, the emphasis is
flight control
always
teams
on the safety of the
resumption
ISS.
of approach
We
to
need
the
to
station
demonstrate
from
this thing's
250
capability
meters,
to back away from the ISS if it has to.
in which Cardman will be sending commands to HTV-X to essentially stop and back away and then resume approach, testing its capability to perform that function should it become necessary. HTV-X at the International Space Station, flying 260 miles over northwestern Brazil. Moving from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. Cardman is joined in the cupola by JAXA astronaut Kimiya Yui.
This course is going to take it over the South Atlantic, not too far away from the northern coast of Antarctica. It will go between Antarctica and Africa off the Cape of Good Hope.
And HTV-X now back on the move, resuming its approach from 250 meters.
And then from there, it'll go into the Indian Ocean, where it'll again pass into the demarcation point into night.
From 250 meters. Per step 3 in 1.102, you are go to arm the retreat command, then command retreat when HTV-X range is 225 meters. How copy?
Okay, copy. HTV-X has resumed the approach, and we are go in step 3 for the retreat command. We will issue that command when we are at prior range 225 meters.
That's a good copy.
Now standing by for the crew to issue the retreat command.
The altitude of ISS varies widely because it's not in a completely circular orbit around the Earth. So it varies from around 360 to 450 kilometers, somewhere in that vicinity. Again, it's an oval orbit, not totally circular. So the altitude is not constant. And this is what will be very special about Artemis 2, is where humanity has been restricted to a few hundred kilometers from the surface of the Earth for all these decades. Now we're going to be looking at hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the Earth with the Artemis 2 mission. Obviously, that hasn't happened for more than 50 years. Um, so, yeah, big moment coming. No woman has ever traveled that
The
far away
retreat
from Earth,
command
so
has
that
been
will be a
sent.
big change. There'll be some studies undertaken to see the effects of radiation on the female body
Station for
versus
HTV-X.
men.
Prior range is
No information on that.
241. We have issued
And Victor
retreat
Glover will be the
ready.
first black man
Retreat
to
arm
travel
is
that
flashing.
far, and the first
We will
Canadian
be
also.
ready at
Lots
range
of firsts
225 for the execute command.
Copy and concur.
in all of this. Right, so HTV-X will retreat a bit. And a maneuver. And this is all because NASA is really wants to make sure that whatever is docking to this station can dock safely. And this being a brand new spacecraft, there's a lot of things that it needs to prove.
HTV-X now in a planned retreat. This is a crew command from the cupola.
Houston Station, retreat command has been executed. We see go to retreat point for the visiting vehicle submode and good lights on the HTV-X command panel.
Copy all.
Good response by HTV-X reported by Zena Cardman, confirmed by the flight controllers here in Houston.
So here we go. And no, this is a resupply mission. This is not a manned vehicle. HTV-X is a resupply vehicle with some very impressive cargo capabilities.
Station
Though
Houston
that's
on
something
2
that
for
sets it apart.
HTV-X. HTV-X is in
39.6
retreat mode.
cubic meters of
Expect
pressurized
HTV-X
cargo
to slow
space,
its approach,
as
then
opposed to
retreat
Dragon
to
2 that only has
250 meters.
9.3 cubic meters worth of pressurized cargo space. The vast majority of Dragon 2's cargo space is unpressurized. So this has some impressive cargo carrying capability.
Good copy.
HTV-X performing as advertised. This is the final major near-field demonstration of the HTV's systems prior to its moving into the keep-out sphere to the next hold point at 30 meters away from the International Space Station.
So far, this has been a 100% flawless mission, near as I can tell. From the moment of liftoff to now, I haven't seen a single thing go wrong with this mission. It's impressive for a brand new spacecraft launching on a brand new rocket. And yes, the cargo ship will be disposed. It will re-enter the atmosphere and burn up, although it will take a lot of garbage with it. They will load a substantial amount of rubbish and other things on. It's a sort of a garbage ship in addition to a resupply ship, but it will burn up. This is not a reusable spacecraft. However, on the positive side, since it can carry so much cargo in a single mission, it's still pretty cost effective. Um, and another positive thing about it, if you want to talk about reusability, on the Cargo Dragon, the trunk, the service module on the Cargo Dragon is always lost anyway. About 50% of the Dragon, both the Crew Dragon and the Cargo Dragon, are lost on every mission too. And that's one thing that makes Starship such a big departure. Assuming that we can ever get it to work properly, 100% reusability, every bit of it being reused. So far, we don't have anything that actually does that.
We are standing by for the completion of this retreat demonstration prior to HTV-X resuming its approach
And yup, that is a
up
very good
the
point.
radial vector towards
But
the
they have
station
to
and
do
an
something
eventual
with it.
grapple point
Another
just
alternative
10
would be
meters
to
away
fire
from
it into
the
a high
international
disposal
outpost.
orbit of some kind. Wow, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. The ISS is out over the open ocean again, the South Atlantic off the coast of Brazil. It'll be over the ocean for a very long time until it'll pass back into night. Then its course will take it over Indonesia, Vietnam, southern China, I believe, including Hong Kong, and then the Sea of Japan, right in between Korea and Japan. But right now, still flying over the daylit side of the planet and the South Atlantic Ocean. So far, a really, really impressive first mission, especially if you compare it, say, to um, Starliner, Boeing
HTV-X
Starliner,
currently
which
flying in
hasn't had
formation with the
a smooth
International Space
mission
Station
yet.
off the
Despite the
coast of
fact it's
South
done
America,
2
moving from
unmanned and
northwest to
1
southeast
crewed
over the
mission,
South
and
Atlantic.
none of them went
The
smoothly.
retreat demonstration,
So pretty
based on
impressive
crew
to get
command
a
from the
to get a
cupola, has been
successful flight
completed
like
and
this
is
on the first try.
met the pass-fail criteria. So the evaluation is continuing here in the flight control room as HTV-X is poised to resume its approach for its capture with the space station's robotic arm.
Go ahead. Yeah, I agree.
We are standing by for the final approval from Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak to resume approach from 250 meters. This slow crawl up the radial vector is deliberate to test the HTV-X's systems prior to its arrival in close proximity to the station for its eventual grapple by Kimiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency using the station's robotic arm.
We have about an hour and a half to docking time, theoretically. Takes quite a while for these things to be carried out. A very slow, methodical approach to the International Space Station because NASA doesn't want this thing getting damaged. Neither do the Russians, for that matter, or anybody else who's contributed to it. European Space Agency has a space station module attached to this thing. Japan has the Kibo module attached to the International Space Station. This is a truly international collaboration.
Station Q-Sun 2 for HTV-X. Confirm 250 meter hold per step 4 in 1.102.
Working step 4 to confirm 250 meter hold.
Good copy.
And with that call from Aki Hoshide to Zena Cardman, the retreat demonstration is now complete.
Confirm per step 4. Good 250 meter holds. All lights on the HTV-X command panel match, and visiting vehicle mode and submode and prior range are good to go.
Copy all, thanks.
So the retreat demonstration is complete, and HTV-X has passed all of its criteria for all of its near-field demonstrations at this point. We're expecting the resumption of approach to the station to commence shortly.
All right, here we go. The next step should take it to about 30 meters, I think, is the next approach. And then it'll hold again at status on the ship, on the ISS, making sure that they're, and then after that, I think it advances again to a distance of 10 meters. And at that point, it's close enough to grab it with a Canadarm. Yeah, here in the UK, the weather has been real lousy for days. for the compliment, Zaparpad, I guess. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but thank you.
This is Mission Control Houston, a good view of the HTV-X cargo craft, which is about to resume its approach to the station for its capture and berthing on a common berthing mechanism on the Earth-facing side of the Harmony module later today. HTV-X has been holding steady at 250 meters away from the station, just completing its retreat demonstration, where it accepted commands from the crew on board from Zena Cardman and Kimiya Yui in the cupola to test its ability to back away from the station in the unlikely event a systems issue would crop up. Now back at 250 meters, we're just moments away from a final go from Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak to resume approach.
Let's go, guys. It's getting boring for those astronauts in the cupola. They're ready to grab something. The ISS is covered in cameras. I'm thinking that this particular camera, I'm not sure. I don't think it's in the cupola. The cupola has a different perspective. But in any event, the ISS has quite a number of cameras to give different perspective shots of just about everything around it. But this one's specifically designed for anything that's going to be docking.
This is the view from the end effector camera on the International Space Station's Canadarm2 robotic arm, showing the position of HTV-X relative to the station at a distance of 250 meters. HTV-X will resume its approach from the 250-meter mark momentarily.
ISS is...
I wanted to give you a status. So with the LiDAR 2 issue that we're having, we're going to perform some troubleshooting while at 250-meter hold. So that takes about 10 minutes or so. We'll give you a call when we're ready to resume.
Okay, copy all. We'll expect maybe 10 or so minutes of troubleshooting here at the 250-meter hold.
Good copy.
The troubleshooting referred to by Aki Hoshide in that communication to Zena Cardman aboard the station, referring to some erratic.
So we have an issue here, unfortunately.
Acquired
the LiDAR.
two redundant LiDAR sensor systems that provides updated navigational data to
the LiDAR on the
HTV-X
appears to be having some issues, and the LiDAR is critical.
The resumption of the approach of HTV-X for its ultimate capture by the robotic arm. And again, this is a view from the end effector camera on the arm itself, the view that we'll be zooming in on as HTV-X is ready to be captured. The arm will be operated by JAXA astronaut Kimiya Yui.
All right. At this point, producer, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. Since they're going to spend 10 minutes troubleshooting the LiDAR, we will continue bringing you live coverage from NASA while I'm away from the mic, but I'm going to be stepping away for a 10-minute break as this troubleshooting continues. Once again, to emphasize, unlikely that this is going to abort the docking or anything serious like that. Just need to make sure that that LiDAR is working properly on HTV-X. But I'll be back in 10 minutes.
The clocks here in Mission Control currently being updated for the various milestones that are ahead. We're probably about 21 minutes away from departing the 250-meter mark and about an hour and 37 minutes away from its capture.
I stepped away for 10 minutes. Did you get that? Okay, thank you.
The original capture time was pegged at 10:50 a.m. Central, 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time. However, there's nothing magic about that time. We have all the time in the world today, since the crew does not plan to open the hatch to HTV-X and begin to unload its cargo until tomorrow. This is Mission Control Houston. Continuing to watch the HTV-X, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's new cargo craft that is sitting rock steady about 250 meters away from the International Space Station. HTV-X and the station flying in formation just to the southeast of the southern tip of Africa, about to begin a southwest to northeasterly trajectory across the Indian Ocean. We are standing by for final approval to resume approach to the station from 250 meters, with the HTV having completed all of its near-field systems demonstration tests. Once the approach to the station resumes from 250 meters, the next arrival point will be at 30 meters for a final systems check before the HTV is given approval to move in within range of the grappling point or the capture point, where the station's robotic arm will reach out and capture the vehicle for its ultimate installation on the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module. The JAXA HTV flight director is wrapping up their analysis of one of the two redundant LiDAR navigation sensors. All of the data appears to be coming in line, and we should be getting approval shortly from Flight Director Fiona Antkowiak to resume approach from 250 meters.
All right, we have All right, so we'll see what happens here. It doesn't look like anything has happened that is serious enough. And now you can see as we're starting to move towards nighttime again, those station keeping thrusters on the HTV-X. Thrusters being used to make sure that it stays on course and maintains its distance of 250 meters away from the station. We're going to see it slowly vanish here. And then it'll probably be down to just a couple of navigation lights again as it moves past this transition into night over the Indian Ocean. These ongoing, just little bitty puffs from the RCS thrusters on this thing in order to maintain its location, its distance, and trajectory, paralleling the ISS and maintaining a distance of 250 meters until it's time to close the distance. So as the up, yeah, no, we haven't lost it yet. Yeah, but yeah, you can see it's very interesting. It's really, I have to admit, this is very cool.
A good view of
How you can
thruster
see the
firings on
thrusters
the
in
HTV-X
operation
as it holds position 250 meters away from the
station
International Space
keeping
Station at a point directly below the station.
position. By the way, I got in my absence, I got a super chat.
HTV-X
Thank
has
you
behaved
so much,
very well.
Matthew
All
Top.
of its systems
And
functioning
yeah, I'm hoping to go to Japan.
up to speed, and based on pre-flight expectations, in the 3.5 days that it has traveled from the launch pad at the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan to this point, ready to resume its final approach from 250 meters to the next stoppage point some 30 meters away from the station.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV-X. SIPC and Houston are ready for HTV-X approach inside the keep out sphere. Expect approach to resume shortly.
Farouk, JAXA funded this mission. This is funded 100% by the Japanese.
Copies. Great news. Expecting approach to resume shortly.
As part of their responsibility to
and there's the confirmation
supply the
relayed to Zena
space
Cardman
station.
from Aki Hoshide here in Mission Control. The HTV-X has checked out. Everything is in good shape, and we're ready to resume its approach from 250 meters inside the so-called keep-out sphere, which in layman's terms would be the close neighborhood toward the International Space Station. This brand new cargo craft joining the supply chain of other cargo vehicles, providing supplies, food, and fuel for the expedition crew members on board the station. Soon to be joining other vehicles attached
very
to
good
the
news.
station. We mentioned this earlier, but it's worth
HTV-X
noting
will approach to a distance of 30 meters,
once HTV-X arrives at the station
where there'll be
and is
another
bolted
hold.
into place later today on the Earth-facing side of the Harmony module of the station, only one arrival port will be left open, that being the Rosviet module of the International Space Station. That's on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station, otherwise known as MRM-1. That port will be occupied on Thanksgiving Day when Soyuz MS-28 arrives with 2 Russian cosmonauts and NASA's Chris Williams. At that point, every single port will be occupied at the International Space Station. And of course, the arrival of HTV-X coming just days before the 25th anniversary of a permanent human occupancy aboard the station that will be marked on Sunday, November 2nd.
Approach has resumed.
Yep, so now we're back to those docking lights.
And HTV-X once again on the move. departing 250 meters. We're about 12 minutes behind the timeline, with the extra time needed at the 250-meter mark.
Step 5, we have good lights on the HTV-X command panel, and we will begin our Block Bravo calls.
Copy.
So right now, obviously on the night side of the planet, over the Indian Ocean, its course will take it over Indonesia,
30 minutes
Vietnam,
for
Hong
HTV
Kong.
to traverse up the radial vector, again the imaginary line drawn between the space station and the Earth, essentially a point directly below the station, before it reaches the 30-meter hold point.
My suspicion is they're going to wait to try to grapple it until the station is back into the day side, the lit area, shall we say, of the planet, so they can get a better look. But I don't know, maybe not. But as of right now, the station and HTV-X are right over the Indian Ocean, which is obviously cloaked in night. As I said, the trajectory will take it over Indonesia and Vietnam, Hong Kong, southern China region, between Korea and Japan into the Sea of Japan, and then over northern Honshu, Hokkaido part of Japan.
From the center of the corridor. Monitor 1 matches Monitor 3.
Copy. Good report. Thanks.
Then into the northern Pacific, just south of Kamchatka, the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. And then the course will take it over the northern Pacific, whereupon it will then go back over the west coast of North America. As of right now, still over the Indian Ocean. Next time we see maybe some lights might be as it passes over Indonesia and Vietnam and Hong Kong. Might see a lot of lights under those circumstances. All depends. But as of right now, just the navigation lights on HTV-X as it's approaching, as it's closing in on the ISS. It will close into a distance of 30 meters, whereupon more checks will be made. The LiDAR being a particularly important part of the spacecraft's navigation system, LiDAR being able to tell the distance, relative distance between HTV-X and the ISS. But one thing that's good about this docking procedure is the fact that it isn't relying entirely on a computer to dock with the ISS. It stops at a distance of 10 meters, and at that point, an astronaut will grapple it utilizing the Canadarm and use the Canadarm to move it to a docking port on the Harmony module on the ISS.
station copies. We are monitoring our retreat and abort criteria per 1.102, and HTV-X is inside the 200-meter keep-out sphere.
Good copy.
ISS is almost over Java, I believe. We're closing in on Java, other parts of Indonesia. Singapore should be passing over that area as well before it goes over Southeast Asia, Vietnam, southern Cambodia, before it goes back out over the ocean, over the South China Sea, and then over Hong Kong, southern China. Hopefully we'll get some lights. We'll get a good view of some cities. All depends on how much weather we have in the area, how much cloud cover. But ISS and HTV-X will be in the right side of the planet for probably another half hour or so.
Station for Black Bravo.
Go for Bravo.
Monitor 3, the light is within the corridor, vehicle size matches the outline. Only changes currently are the light.
There's a live shot of Mission Control, Johnson Space Center,
forward and
International Space Station Control.
Starboard from the circle. The circle is 1/2 vehicle length aft and 1/4 vehicle width starboard, and moving further starboard from the center of the corridor.
Copy, good trending.
Monitor 1 matches Monitor 3.
Copy that.
Zena Cardman reporting back data that she's seeing on her monitors in the cupola. She's alongside Kimiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency as the HTV-X moves up the so-called corridor, up the radial vector.
As I can tell so far,
now about
everything
147
seems to
meters away
be
from the station,
going
closing
quite
at a rate of
smoothly.
about 1/10 of a meter per second. This is essentially a methodical crawl for the HTV-X up the radial vector, as all of its systems are being carefully evaluated prior to the time that it arrives within very, very close proximity of the station. There will be another hold point at 30 meters to assess its systems before it resumes its approach from the 30-meter hold point to what is called the capture point, about 10 meters away, some 32 feet away from the station. That's the point that a final assessment of the systems will be made before
Okay, we're starting to get some lights now.
For Kimiya Yui in the cupola to begin extending the Canadarm2 robotic arm towards a grapple fixture on HTV-X.
Station Huntsville, Space to Ground 2 for Johnny and Payload Naz at your convenience.
As ISS passes over Southeast Asia, we may get some more lights. Depends on what kind of cloud cover we have. Oh, okay, we got a storm of some kind. We just saw a flash of lightning.
Huntsville, Johnny 2, how can I help?
Hey, Johnny, we wanted to free you up to watch HTV-X capture. So we are ready for you to perform your Payload NAS hard drive reseat whenever you'd like. Additionally, we were able to cut out about 30 minutes from this procedure. So step 1.3.2 in that procedure has you getting a go from us to verify 30 minutes have passed. We have already verified all that we need from that. So you are go to skip that step and move through your procedure. Should only take you about 10 minutes.
Hey, I'm copy. I reviewed the procedures, and we are on the same wavelength. I was just going to ask if I could get that hard drive cooling done early. I understand the big intent behind this. I'm going to reseat the hard drives, which shouldn't take too long. Any more information maybe on the background of what signature you all are seeing on your end? I've got a couple NESs at home, so I'm wondering if I would be able to help, depending on what kind of signature you're seeing.
Yeah, so we're trying to correct an issue with one of the hard drives experienced a degradation and a logical ejection. All these hard drives are going to be reseated as a preventative action in case a similar issue is present on the other hard drives that we haven't noticed yet.
Copy. Do you know which hard drive is the one that's showing an off-nominal signature?
Yeah, that's hard drive 3.
Copy number 3. Okay, so I will go ahead and reseat them all per the procedure. I'm assuming this is a RAID setup, so maybe you might have to, if this doesn't work, replace that hard drive so the parity can rebuild. But I guess we can cross that bridge if we get there.
I will pass your words on to someone who is more technically savvy than I am, but we appreciate that.
Have it help. Thanks for the support. I'll get it knocked out now.
Station for Block Bravo call.
Go on, Chief.
Our key changes are the vehicle continuing to trend further starboard. So differences from last time.
ISS is currently over the China Sea
Forward from the circle,
and closing in on Hong Kong,
starboard from the circle.
South China,
the circle itself is
southern China in general. It's
vehicle
a heavily populated
in
area.
the center of the corridor,
May
and
get some lights, assuming once
left.
again that there isn't a lot of cloud cover, which there might be.
Copy all. Good report.
Once again, several conversations ongoing aboard the station. Johnny Kim of NASA talking to payload controllers at the Payload Operations Control Center at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. And Zena Cardman in the cupola of the International Space Station, along with JAXA astronaut Kimiya Yui, monitoring the slow but steady approach of HTV-X up the radial vector from a point directly below the station. Currently 100 meters separating HTV-X from its grapple point. Everything continuing to look good, no concerns. The visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control and the HTV-X flight director at their control room in Tsukuba, Japan, reporting that all of HTV-X's systems are in excellent shape as it continues its very slow but deliberate approach to its final arrival point about 10 meters away from the complex.
ISS now passing over southern China, just off the coast. Again, there's probably some clouds and such. We're not seeing any lights. Just off the coast of China at the moment, or it could be actually flying over southern China. It's right at that transition point. And then from there, it will fly between Korea and Japan into the Sea of Japan. Then the trajectory will take it, I think it looks like, directly between Honshu and Hokkaido.
We are in between satellite coverage on our tracking and data relay satellite system. We'll get our downlink television capability from the station's external cameras back here shortly. Just to recap, HTV-X launched from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan atop an H-3 rocket by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency on Saturday night U.S. time, Sunday morning Japan time. The 3.5-day rendezvous for HTV-X deliberately plotted out to test all of its brand new systems on this new cargo freighter prior to its arrival in close proximity to the station, which occurred very early this morning. Since then, a series of near-field demonstration tests of HTV-X's systems have been conducted, with all of those systems passing muster. HTV-X currently about 80 meters away now from the station, continuing to move to the next hold point at the 30-meter mark.
It's about 50 meters away from the next hold point, which will be the final hold point before they move to a distance of 10 meters. At that point, that's when Canadarm will grab it, assuming all goes smoothly. But as I say, so far, this mission's been going damn well. It's been an impressive mission, again, for a brand new spacecraft launching off of a pretty new rocket. H3 has only had a few flights. So very impressive mission so far from JAXA and Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. I'm not sure if that was intentional. I guess as it closes in, they may need to have a different camera. Hmm. Oh, there we go. We've got it back now. I'm thinking that's because it had to. They had to have a different camera grab it as it's closing in on the station. Currently, ISS and HTV-X between Korea and Japan, and heading into the Sea of Japan. It won't be long now that HTV-X will once again move into daylight. We should once again get that spectacular transition as the sun suddenly shines on it and it comes into view. Just beautiful how this ship becomes visible all of a sudden.
Up on 60 meters. Using monitor 3, the light is within the corridor. Vehicle size matches the outline. The light is now just barely forward of the circle and centered port starboard relative to the circle. The circle is less than 1/4 vehicle width starboard and less than 1/8 vehicle length aft from the center of the corridor, all converging on the center of the corridor.
Copy. Good report. Thanks.
Zena Cardman reporting the relative position that she is seeing HTV-X in as it moves up the corridor for its grapple point. All of that data appears to be in good shape. Some 56 meters now separating HTV-X from the station.
About 60 meters away, 60.
HTV-X and the International Space Station are currently traveling 260 miles just west of HTV-X's launch site at the Tanegashima Space Center.
It's only 26 meters away from the next hold point. It will hold again at a 30-meter distance. I say at that point, they're going to do another systems check. ISS and HTV-X are now just passing over the northern part of Honshu, it looks like. I don't know what appears to be between Honshu and Hokkaido, I think. Might still be over the Sea of Japan, just barely. Then once it gets there, it will head out over the northern Pacific, just south of the Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia, and then over the northern Pacific for a considerable amount of time before it passes over the terminator back into daylight. It shouldn't pass over any other land after this. Until, of course, it reaches the coast of North America, back where we started. All right, ISS now out over the northern Pacific. It's left Japan behind and heading towards the southern tip of the Kamchatka Peninsula.
We're checking on it, but we'll let you know if we need anything else.
Looks like a couple hundred kilometers south of there. That'll be the only piece of land that it passes anywhere near until it's heading towards the Aleutians. I don't know if its current trajectory is going to take it over the Aleutians. And it looks like we might have another little issue. Nothing too serious, but again, caution, caution, caution. We're talking about anything, especially if it's something that weighs quite a number of tons. Anything that's moving that close to the International Space Station. So they may hesitate again for a little while and might have another hold here before they get to that 30-meter hold point. Yeah, I'd see a lot of discussions of pizza. I haven't had lunch today, so now I'm probably gonna end up getting a damn pizza because of all this conversation in the chat. Um, no anchovies. You know something? I actually like anchovies. I'm in the mood for a really pungent, powerfully flavored pizza, anchovies and green olives, usually some mushrooms too.
This is Mission Control Houston. HTV-X is approaching the 30-meter hold point. Everything continuing to look good on the vehicle as it methodically makes its way from a point directly below the station to a capture point at about the 10-meter mark. There will be a hold point first at 30 meters to assess the HTV-X's systems before it resumes its approach one final time to that capture point for a final assessment before Kimiya Yui uses the station's robotic arm to reach out and grapple the Japanese cargo ship that launched 3.5 days ago from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan.
Station, no changes to our previous Block Bravo call.
Copy that, Xena, and be advised.
Okay, on this
So we
orbit,
did recover LiDAR 2,
ISS is
but we
actually
found it
going to
again.
miss
So we're
North
going to leave.
America almost
We're going to be
entirely.
in this
It will
config
pass
for
just
capture.
off the west coast of just off the coast of Los Angeles. I'm very close to Los Angeles and the Baja Peninsula.
And that call from Aki Hoshide here in Mission Control to Xena Cardman indicating that one of the two redundant LiDAR navigation sensor systems has been providing some erratic data to the onboard computers, so that has been evaluated here in Mission Control as well as in the HTV flight control room
LiDAR
in Tsukuba, Japan. It is of no concern. We're pressing ahead with the approach of HTV-X for its grapple by Yui using the Canadarm2 robotic arm.
Getting very close to that transition point, terminator between day and night. Right now, ISS has left the Kamchatka Peninsula
And
behind,
now
is
have
flying
confirmation
over
that
the
we
North
have reached
Pacific.
the 30-meter hold point.
Very, very cold region of the world,
Station Houston
especially at this
for
time of year.
HTV-X. Confirm
And
30
heading for
meter
the
hold.
Aleutian Islands.
Then
It's
set
not
up
going to
and
pass
brief
over
for
the
capture
Aleutians. I
for
don't
step
think it's going to
6
be
and
just south
1.102.
of the Aleutians. And
The
then
crew
after
will
that, it'll
receive a final
continue over the
briefing
North
now
Pacific,
from
and it
Mission Control here in
might
Houston.
just pass over the
30-meter
Baja.
hold lights on the HTV-X command panel.
The 30
match
meters, guys.
expected, and we will set up for capture per step 6 of 1.102.
Oh.
Good words.
This will be about
Thanks,
a 15-minute
NOSM,
hold.
for becoming an angry
The
advocate.
crew on board will be receiving a final briefing on procedures as HTV-X traverses the final few meters for its capture.
Yeah, we're at that 30-meter point, so this is gonna be perfect, actually. The HTV will pass over that terminator between, day and night, and so then it'll be fully lit up for that final approach and for the Canadarm to grab it. So all of this is going to work out really, really well, assuming that there are no other malfunctions. A minor malfunction on a redundancy LiDAR is no big deal as long as the primaries don't fail. So really, I mean, if that's the only glitch we get out of this mission, that's incredibly good. That's a very, very successful flight of a brand new spacecraft that's never flown before.
The HTV flight
All right,
director
so
in
now
Scuba
the
Japan
ISS is
reporting
just
that
south
they're
of
happy with all of the
islands.
vehicle systems. Flight
Say
director Fiona
south of
Ankoviak
Kista,
is
maybe.
about to take a final poll of her flight controllers here for resumption within 30 meters. And the crew will be receiving a short briefing
And very
on
close to
final
that
procedures
terminator
prior to
point.
the HTV closing the gap for its capture robotically by Kimiya Yui using the station's robotic arm.
Okay. Once again, ISS and HTV-X just south of the Aleutians. And we'll continue to fly over the Pacific, the North Pacific, for some time, and about to hit that terminator point. Very close to that terminator point between day and night. And we should see HTV-X coming back into view. Probably in the next couple of minutes. Okay, it's coming into view now. We're getting a sunrise. Oh, gorgeous. So beautiful. And you can see HTV-X in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. It's just hovering
And a good view of the HTV-X.
Off the station now.
Just 30
really
meters away
close
from the International Space Station as the two fly in formation over the northeast Pacific,
that's
moving
just
from
beautiful.
northwest to southeast. This pass will take the two vehicles directly over Baja California a short time from now.
Okay, it will fly over Baja, probably no other, and just hugging the coast of California. And again, you can see it because these vehicles are hundreds of kilometers
HTV-X
over
carrying
the Earth,
about
so
4.5 tons
they're
of
going to pick
supplies
up
and experiments
sunlight
for the Expedition
first
73 crew aboard the International Space Station.
before you're going to see the Earth illuminated by the sun. Again, this is something that astronauts commonly talk about, is the fact that you have a sunrise every 90 minutes.
HTV-X holding steady, minutes away from reaching its final destination. And an even closer view of the new cargo vehicle. The HTV-X made of two major components, a pressurized module and a service module. The service module contains the propulsion and guidance, navigation, control, communications, and power systems.
Oh, wow.
26 feet long, 14.5 feet wide.
That's cool.
About to join the resupply chain at the International Space Station. And framed against the limb of the Earth, a good view of the HTV-X.
Oh, somebody just mentioned space planes. I'll be talking about a space plane here very soon on the channel. The Aurora space plane just carried out an impressive test, beating a climbing record from the F-15 Falcon, climbing faster than the fastest warplane. So anyway, and they filmed the whole thing. I'll tell you, it's an impressive film. So I'll be bringing that to you soon.
HTV-X.
Station on 2 for HTV-X. Power 1.1.
So we're minutes away from the Canadarm.
Crew is ready for
Go
HTV-X
smoothly.
to capture point.
Oh, thank you. We have another angry advocate. Hello, Sapphire. Thank you very much for joining. If you want to become part of our Discord community and other benefits, we have reopened the channel members feature.
Station Houston 2 for HTV-X. HTV-X is ready to proceed to the capture point. Expect approach to resume.
There are two ways to do that. You can either join on Patreon, and there you can follow the link in the description to do that, or you can just hit that join button. And you can react that way.
We're handing over between
give you
satellites.
access to our Discord community, early releases on videos, those sorts of benefits.
Station Houston 2 for HTV-X. HTV-X is ready to proceed to the capture point. Expect approach to resume shortly.
All right, so I'm not sure why we're back at mission control. It could be that they're switching satellites. Yeah, that's it. They're handing over between satellites. Okay.
So with that, Aki Hoshide informing Zena Cardman that the vehicle is ready
Here we
to
go.
resume the final leg of its
Good to go, guys. We're minutes away from this process
to its
being
capture
complete.
point, just about 10 meters away from the International Space Station.
$5 to join is the cost.
And the approach command has now been sent. HTV-X and space station flying just off the west coast of the United States.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV-X. HTV-X has begun approach from 30
And yeah, that
meters.
is true. You can join on
Monitor per
Patreon
step
for only
7 and
$3.
1.102.
Want to go that route?
Copies. Resuming the approach
Here we
and
go.
monitoring per step 7.
So we can see the Canadarm now for the first time, preparing to grapple under the trained and steady hands of our astronauts.
The actual capture phase involves Kimiya Yui operating the station's robotic arm from the cupola.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the names of these folks, but we have one NASA astronaut and one Japanese astronaut in the cupola controlling the Canadarm.
Grapple HTV-X, but the snares then
preparing
have
to
to
carry
close,
out
the carriage retracted, and that will mark the official capture time that we'll provide for you as soon as we have that data.
Oh, that's a good shot. That's a beautiful shot. That's a beautiful shot of HTV-X. Wow. ISS is now just off the coast of California, very close to Los Angeles, actually, closing in on the Baja Peninsula. And we are minutes away. Obviously, this is a very slow and deliberate process. Canadarm, in spite of its impressive capabilities, is actually incapable of even lifting its own weight on Earth. It's a robotic arm designed for use in microgravity only, and it can definitely get the job done. But yeah, it can't even lift its own weight on Earth. Of course, Canadarm has been taking care of NASA's requirements when it comes to these sorts of maneuvers for
27 meters
almost
away.
half a century now, since the 1980s, first implemented as part of the space shuttle. And ever since then, this has been a uniquely Canadian part of these of space missions in orbit. And it's going to be part of space missions orbiting the moon. The moon, the Lunar Gateway Space Station will have similar docking maneuvers, similar requirements. The Canadarm will be taking care of those things as well. So yeah, that piece of technology, that amazing innovation, the Canadarm, will migrate out into the solar system with us.
Block Bravo. Lights have
And I
converged
can't
on
wait
the
to
center
see
of
that
the
happen.
circle, and circle has
Lunar
converged on the center of
will
the corridor.
enter service before the end
Copy,
of the decade.
good report, thanks.
We should see
This
it.
view now from the end effector camera on the station's Canadarm 2 robotic
should
arm.
be deployed by then.
25 meters separating
Thank you,
HTV-X
Antonin.
from
We have a
the
special
arm.
video, by the way, coming out celebrating 250,000 subscribers. There's the Baja. Oh, what a glorious view of the Baja. That's beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful Baja Peninsula. Man, you don't get a more beautiful shot than that. Yes, it is manually operated. These are astronauts that are manipulating the Canadarm. And obviously, they have assistance from computer guidance, that sort of thing. This is something that, I mean, this is a very important part of at least some ISS astronauts training, is the training and learning and the learning how to operate the Canadarm and manipulating it properly in these extremely sensitive and precise maneuvers. And again, I am way more comfortable with this kind of solution for docking maneuvers than leaving it completely in the hands of a computer. I'd rather have an astronaut handle it.
23 meters now separating HTV-X from the International Space Station.
Beautiful shot of the
Just
Baja
passing
Peninsula.
south of Baja, California, moving from
HTV-X.
northwest to southeast.
Okay, so we're 13 meters away from that grapple point. Now the ISS will be just off the coast of Mexico. And we'll head back out into the South Atlantic during the final part of this maneuver. Man, that is impressive. That is beautiful.
This is Mission Control Houston. Everything continuing to go very well as HTV-X is about to close to within 20 meters of the International Space Station. You can see the Canadarm2 extended, ready
and
to
steady.
move in under the command of Kimiya Yui, operating from a workstation in the cupola, backed up by NASA's Zena Cardman. That arm will be set in motion once HTV-X arrives at about the 10-meter mark.
Astronaut Yui will be the one, the JAXA astronaut will be the one manipulating or controlling the Canadarm under the observation of a NASA astronaut. So, yeah, not surprising that we have a JAXA astronaut handling this responsibility. And this is probably the most important moment for him in this mission in terms of high pressure anyway. I'm sure he has many very important experiments to carry out and that sort of thing. But this is a brand new Japanese spacecraft docking with the International space station. It's his responsibility now to make sure that this thing is safely captured and safely brought to dock with the Harmony module on the ISS. And it'd be a lot of pressure.
HTV-X continues its methodical approach towards the
ISS
end
is
effector of the
now
station's robotic arm. Now just 17 meters
close to the
separating
equator,
HTV-X from the
out over
capture
the
point.
Atlantic, well within the daylight side of the planet. So that helps. Got plenty of light. Well, you can see it now, man. That thing is right on top of the station. And this thing is huge. I mean, between the 4 tons of cargo and the mass of the spacecraft itself, this is huge, heavy projectile flying thousands and thousands of kilometers an hour, tens of thousands of kilometers an hour. So yeah, don't want any mistakes here. If you consider the complexity of trying to handle refueling missions in orbit, because that's what's coming up next for
HTV-X
Starship here.
grappled,
if Starship's going to ever make it to Mars or the moon.
Kimia Yui and Zena Cardman will hand over the robotic chores to the robotics officer here in Mission Control in Houston, who will spend the next several hours maneuvering HTV-X toward the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module for its installation into the common berthing mechanism on that nadir side of Harmony, where HTV-X will then be bolted into place. The crew will not be opening the hatch to HTV-X until tomorrow morning to begin the process of unloading the start of the cargo operations. Some 4.5 tons of supplies and experiments arriving at the International Space Station.
Yes, a very
HTV-X and the
positive comment
station
was
flying
just
from
shared
northwest
with
to southeast
ASN, another space nut who's my producer. Yeah,
over
everybody
the Pacific
tell him
Ocean,
how awesome he
just
is,
off the
because
coast
without
of
him,
South
these
America.
broadcasts wouldn't be happening. I certainly don't have the technical knowledge to make this stuff happen. He supports this channel in so many ways.
Now just 14 meters separating the two vehicles. We're about 5 minutes away from arriving at the capture point. One final check of HTV-X's systems before the approval is given for Kimiya Yui to begin extending the Canadarm2 toward the grapple fixture.
ISS is now off the coast of Peru, I believe, and it's going to be passing over Chile and Argentina here within the next couple of minutes. Then from there, it will pass over the South Atlantic, south of South Africa, over a lot of ocean, to be honest. It's going to go over, after it passes over South America. We're super close at this point. All right, here we go.
And a good view from the end effector camera on the Canadarm2 as you're looking right down the barrel of the grapple fixture that the Canadarm2 will affix itself to here a short time from now.
Get an idea of just how close it is now.
The journey of HTV-X that began 3.5 days ago with its launch atop JAXA's H3 rocket from the Tanegashima Space Center in southern Japan about to conclude.
Yeah, if there's a malfunction, a serious malfunction in the docking arm, that would not be good. But at the same time, unlikely that that's going to happen
on the International Space Station's
at a point to where they couldn't do something about it. If it starts running into problems, all right. Only 2 meters to go now before they're in a position to where the Canadarm can go out and get it. Here we go. Yeah, that's an awesome shot. What a beautiful spaceship.
Station, Houston on 2 for HTV-X. Confirm capture point hold for step 8 in 1.102.
Houston Station, for step 8 of 1.102, we can confirm CP hold.
Houston copies.
This is Mission Control Houston. Aki Hoshide confirming with Zena Cardman that HTV-X
Okay, so they're
has,
holding at 10
reached
meters,
one final hold point
waiting
at the
for the
10-meter mark.
go-ahead for the Canadarm to go get it.
Now polling the flight controllers for a go, no-go to resume the operations that will involve Kimi Yui extending the Canadarm2 from this 10-meter mark to the grapple fixture on HTV-X to complete this rendezvous.
So we're waiting for that go-ahead. HTV-X hovering 10 meters away from the International Space Station, within reach
free drift,
of the Canadarm.
inhibiting any further thruster
Now
firings,
we're waiting
so as not to perturbate
astronaut
the
Yui
operation
to
of
have
the
the
Canadarm2
opportunity
robotic arm as it moves in to grapple the vehicle.
get the go-ahead to grab this thing and to bring it back to the station. Well, that's a beautiful shot. Now the ISS and HTV-X are just passing over Chile, the Andes, and Argentina. This will be the last piece of land that these both the station and the spacecraft pass over for quite some time. The trajectory, the orbital trajectory of the station takes it out over open ocean for a considerable period of time.
We see PVGF SEP is enabled, and
chances are we will keep that because docking maneuver should be over with. Here we go.
Houston Station, per step 9, we can confirm command panel LED configuration is good and our capture preparations are confirmed. We are ready for HTV-X capture with a preference to wait until the other side of this S-band handover.
Copy. And Houston, copy, stand by for capture.
The S-band handover referred to by Zena Cardman is a brief gap in communications voice-wise. We do have solid downlink television capability. So we're just a couple of minutes away from Kimiya Yui beginning the work to extend the Canadarm2 robotic arm for its capture of the Japanese cargo ship that is completing its maiden voyage to the International Space Station. HTV-X and the station currently flying over Argentina from northwest to southeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, about to emerge off the east coast of South America over the South Atlantic.
And Station Houston on 2 for HTV-X Xena. So that big gap in Optimus, we think that's conservative. It's going to be more like a 4-minute continuation and then a 20-second handover after that.
Okay, copy. That is great information. We can, with your go, start working step 4 of 1.110.
Okay, copy that. Stand by. We're doing the final pull on the ground.
Copy all.
So we got a few more minutes.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV-X.
Again, this is a really, really touchy point, obviously. We need to make sure that everything's good, that all preparations are made, and that there are no issues that could foul this up at the last second here.
We are go for the capture sequence. We will start with step 4 of
And we're in that brief handover in S-band communications. But the approval has been given for Kimiya Yui to begin the work with the Canadarm2 robotic arm to extend it slowly and methodically toward the grapple fixture on the vehicle.
Again, all of this seems quite glacial, I'm sure, to a lot of you. But again, we're talking about 2 spacecraft traveling at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. You don't want to have any errors here, any collisions, any is don't want to make any mistakes in the if you just because you want to get it over with. Safety is absolutely paramount. Billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment, and obviously also the lives of a number of astronauts and cosmonauts at stake here. We have another satellite handover. Another, so you're seeing Mission Control, Houston, during a satellite or satellite handover, and we are now in the process. The Canadarm is now in the process of extending out to grab the HTV-X.
And the International Space Station now in free drift. Thrusters disabled.
And no, it does not get brought inside. It's
Standing
manipulated and
arm
maneuvered
motion.
to dock with a docking port in the Harmony space station. Or the Harmony, the Harmony module for the International Space Station. There's only one open docking port actually right now.
Houston Station on 2 for your awareness. We are doing translational
Waiting to
alignment
see the
and
arm
beginning our approach.
extend out to
Copy,
grab
we're
it.
watching.
Come on. Go get it, Canadarm.
And the robotics officer reports the arm is now in motion.
Here we go.
4.5
The
meters.
arm is moving towards the
Good view,
spacecraft.
from the end
Probably
effector
not
camera.
that easy to see that, given how glacial the movement is. But
Both vehicles
nevertheless,
are in free
the arm, yep, there it goes. Okay, we can start seeing a little bit of motion here. It's getting closer. There it goes. There it goes. Maneuvering towards that grapple point on the HTV-X. Okay. We're going to count
2.5
down.
meters.
Oh, this is very smooth. Very smooth.
One meter away, standing by for capture. We have initial capture. This is soft capture.
1 meter. Here we go, guys.
Waiting for snares to close and carriage retract.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Capture. Okay. And then it's just going to cycle down here. Do they have it? Did they grapple it properly? I think they did. Let's They've got it. We're not getting 100% confirmation on that, but I think they've got it. Waiting to see what they're going to say about this. Is a strange period of silence.
Things continuing to look good.
But it looks like it's grappled properly. Come on, somebody say something.
And we have capture confirmed. Capture confirmed at 10:58 a.m. Central Time, 11:58 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a good handshake
I think
between
they've got it.
Canadarm2 and HTV-X.
No, it's not. Just to be clear,
Arrival at the International
the only
Space
thing
Station
Canadian
now
about
complete.
this is the arm.
Capture
The
again confirmed
spacecraft
at
is Japanese.
10:58 a.m. Central Time, 11:58
There it is.
a.m. Eastern
Confirmed.
Time.
Finally,
As
capture
HTV-X and the
confirmed.
International Space Station flew 260 miles over the South Atlantic.
And thus ends an incredible mission. Let's go ahead and go full screen here, producer, if you don't mind, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So, folks, that's great. So there we go, folks. It is all complete. We have a completed docking in orbit. Everything about this mission went about as well as you can imagine. A brand new spacecraft being launched by a pretty new rocket that only had a couple of missions under its belt, and successful maneuvering in orbit, successful operation of all the important systems, successful operation of the LiDAR, and a successful operation of the Canadarm and the talented astronauts who made all of that possible. Just a really, really good and truly international collaboration that made all of this work. A very, very big win for Japan, for international space collaboration, and I mean, not just for the ISS here. The HTV-X has a contract established with the Voyager Corporation and Airbus for their Starlab space station that will be deployed in the next couple of years. A private commercial space station in HTV-X is going to be one of the primary resupply ships for that space station. So this is the first really successful mission in what I think is going to be a long and successful history for this spacecraft. So once again, congratulations to JAXA, congratulations to NASA and all involved. This is the way it's supposed to go, guys. I am super impressed. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please, before you tune out, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, stay angry about space.